How much money have you ever made? I don't know how much money I've ever made. I don't think it's much. That's a story I was telling myself when I couldn't explain where my money went. On my How to Track Your Expenses video, I shared the embarrassing moment that inspired me to get better at tracking my expenses. Watch that video after this one to learn more. In this video, I'm going to share my income tracking experience and the templates that I've used over the past 6+ years. I'll go over why I started tracking, what I learned, income types, and demo the light and full version of my income tracking sheets. Could it be that I made enough to save and invest? I'd never thought of tracking my income. I couldn't remember how much money I made in the past years or when my income changed. But I wanted to assure myself that the money I made didn't amount to much after expenses. Then I'd feel justified. And that's how my income tracking journey began. I was already tracking my expenses using the Google spreadsheet that I shared in my other video. It seemed natural to track my income using a similar way and learn from the experience. Tracking income seemed like it would be far less work. There were fewer transactions. Not that I would mind the extra work that would come with tracking income if I got paid every day or if I got paid as often as I spent money. I was making websites by day and booking additional web development jobs and salsa dance gigs after work whenever I could. There were good months and bad months. After months of tracking my income, I realized the truth. I made more than I needed to spend more often than not. This was surprising. Hooray! I should be able to save and invest over time. On the flip side, I couldn't justify my poor financial choices. Tracking helped me see the variations in my income. I could see how my job and my gigs contributed to my overall income. I used this data to make better financial choices and to monitor progress towards goals. 3 things I learned were, number 1, keep it simple in terms of how you track your income and when. I only tracked who paid me, how much, and when. As soon as possible or before end of day whenever I got paid. Second thing I learned was income fluctuates. So it's a good idea to identify your baseline income and plan for the highs and lows, or this will happen to you. One day, I got a message on my phone. Ching! You have received 12,000 on your M-Pesa. This was followed by another message from a bank saying this payment was a salary payment from the bank. I didn't work at this bank and I wasn't expecting this money. What would you do if you were me? Quickly spend the money before the transaction was reversed? Nah. I decided to wait one day and see if it was a mistake. One day later, nobody had called me to claim the money. So I decided this was my lucky day. Now, if money drops out from heaven into your pocket, what do? I spent all of it like it wasn't mine. 3 days later, I got an email from my SACCO saying that an interest payment of 12,000 was delivered to my phone. Gosh. Could have saved myself a lot of grief had I known to plan for and expect this additional income from the SACCO. Tracking your income will help you identify which months you have received more money in the past and be able to avoid such situations. Also, tapping the like button will help a lot. The third thing I learned was to categorize income by type. It's good to learn about different types of income and track the ones that you care about, the ones that you want. I wanted to differentiate between the income that I made from my job and the income that I made elsewhere. You can classify income as active income, passive income, either, both, or none of the above. Active income is a typical way to make money in exchange for investing time. For example, you get a salary when you work at a job, or you get fees when you do a gig. Passive income is money you can make while you sleep in exchange for either capital or time. For example, you can get interest payments in exchange for depositing money at a good SACCO, or investing in a money market fund, or investing in a treasury bond or bill. You can also get dividend payments when you invest in shares of a good company. And you can get royalties if you author and publish an artistic work, for example, a book or music. In terms of either, both, or none of the above, you can get business revenue, which is active income, or business revenue that is passive income, or a mix of the two. You can get rental income, which is passive income, or that has some elements of active income. You can also get gifts, which I wouldn't classify as active income or passive income, but it's still a valid income. Check the resource links in the description below for more inspiration on different kinds of income. Now we're going to go over to my computer and show you how the light and full versions of the income trackers look like. The light version is much simpler. It's what I started out with. And the first thing you see is a guide which shows you what's included in the light version. So we have a tracker, we have a summary, we have a year review, and some categories that you can customize, and we'll have a look at those in a bit. And then we have extras that are in the full version and some key here. So around the document, you'll find some tooltips like this, which give you some helpful nuggets. And then we have some fields that look like this shade of blue. So if you find something like this, it's most likely an input field. And so this is just to guide you. Then we also have a script that helps to automate date entries, and we'll see how that looks like in a bit. The tracker sheet, this is the main space. It's the heart of the income tracker. So we already have a few entries here. So let's say D works at Boss Inc. and this is his employment income on this particular date. He's categorized this as job income. And then he also got SACCO income, which was passive income on this date, and it was an interest payment. Then he recently got some dividends from this company, which is also passive income. So say, for example, he also invested in another organization and got dividend income of that amount. This would be passive. You can see the date is already automatically entered, and so this would be a dividend income. And you can see for today, this is 500 tracked today. 500 of it was passive. Since he began tracking, he's tracked 55,800 of income, and 5,800 of that was passive. On top here, you can see today's date and the number of days this tracker has been used. The next sheet shows a summary of all the income that's been received since the beginning. So we have this ordered here from the biggest income source to the least income source, and the total shows up here. This graph shows who has paid you. So Boss Inc. is the biggest source of income, followed by Treasury Bond, and so on and so forth. Then there's a handy calculator here which says if you have received this amount of money, then this is the amount of money you should have saved somewhere in one of your accounts or in your investments if you pay yourself this amount, 30%. So I know some people say that 10% is a good amount to start saving or investing, and that is valid. And if that was the case, this is how much you should have. In my case, I think you should go for at least the amount that you pay in taxes. So if you pay 30% in taxes, then when you're able to, work towards that amount. The next one is year review, which shows you a breakdown of how much money you've received per month. So assuming the goal of 50,000, you haven't gotten the goal across all these months, but in February you were able to get to the goal and some. You can make a selection of what year you want to review. In this case, we only have 2022 data, so that's how it is. This would show you how you have received money across the year. In this case, we only have some data for February and a little bit for March. Down here, we have an analysis of the biggest income types. So most of the income has come from job and followed by interest and followed by dividends. And then in terms of biggest pay dates, we have on this date where this was received, followed by this date and this date with these amounts respectively. So if you're wondering when was my biggest payday or where does most of my income come from, then you can use this analysis to look through your data. On this side, we have frequent paydays. So Monday is the day that D is most likely to get paid with 3 transactions. And then we have Wednesday and Thursday and a graph below which just shows the same, how the trend looks like. The other sheet is data. Here you have the income categories. This is something that you can modify or add to, depending on what kind of income you care about and what types of income you want to track. And whatever you have here is what will show up in this list over here. Well, that's it for this one. If you want to get access, just tap the like button and check the notes below for details on how you can get this for free. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which is the full version. This one has more functionality and it's what I use today. Again, you have the first sheet, which is a guide, very similar to the one for the light version, showing you what you have and what's included, like the income trend, the income report, the passive trend, and the passive report. And here you have a snapshot of what question these sheets help you to address. Now we're going to go straight into the tracker. Similar to the light version, the recommended way is to add income. So for example, this D now works at Grandorine Company and he just got a payment of 80,000 and this was income from his job. And so we see that this automatically updates up here and has similar tracking like the previous sheet. This is some sample data for D just to help you understand how this might look like. I recommend adding rows above so that you don't have to scroll to the bottom every time you want to add your latest income data. Moving on, we have a similar sheet that shows that most of D's income has come from Grandorine, then followed by other companies, including some Konoha Sako and The handy formula over here says that if D wants to pay himself 30% and he has managed to receive this amount of income, then this is how much he should have saved or invested. And then here's a breakdown of his income sources. So most of the income comes from Grandorine company, and these other companies also add to his total income. The year review is similar to what we had in the light version. Again, you have a goal over here, which reflects how much progress he made towards his goal. So green is good, means that he achieved his goal. Red means that he wasn't able to achieve his goal. And then on this side, you have how his income trended from January to December. Down here, we have the biggest income types. His job accounts for most of his income in 2021. Again, you can select the year. We only have 2021 data, so that's why we're looking at that. And then second position was interest income, which he got 52,000, and then he got gifts amounting to this, and seems to be quite a lucky guy to have this many gifts. This section shows the biggest pay weekdays. So this just says that it's most likely that D will get paid on a Friday, and this is how much he's received on Fridays, this is how much he's received on Tuesdays, and then how much he's received on Wednesdays. We also have this section here that just shows you the frequent paydays in order from first to last and how that trends over the week. In terms of biggest pay dates, these are the dates when he's received the biggest amount of money. And biggest paydays of the month, we have 30th, 31st, and 29th. So this could probably tell you that most of his income comes towards the end of the month. One more thing about this year review is that D can come here and filter by the income type. So for example, if he wants to look at interest income received in the year, you can just filter by interest, and this will automatically update. You can see here the only income type is interest, and the same goes for dividends. If he wants to see how the different companies he's invested in have been paying him across the year, then this is what he would do. And to go back and show all income, both passive, active, and everything, then this is what he would do. Just clear the selection and he can see everything. That's it for this one. We also have a data sheet here, which he can customize or add to depending on the income types that he wants to track and how he wants to categorize his income. One of the extras is the income trend, which allows him to search by or filter by one specific tag. So for example, Grandorine is the company. If he wants to see how much income he's received in this particular period this year, you can see the first half of the year was 50,000, and then it changed, went to 60,000, and then ends the year at 83,000. And this is reflected in this graph over here. Most of this income is his salary from the job, and then he also got some gifts from the job, which he decided to track separately. In terms of biggest pay weekdays, that's Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's when he's most likely to get paid from his job. And yeah, if he wants to, for example, look at his SACO, you can see that he received one payment, which was in March, and that was an interest payment. And so this is something that could be useful if you just want to answer questions. How much money did I get from this particular source in the year? Next one is the income report, which allows D to do some analysis of how much income he received from one date, for example, 1st January, to an end date, for example, 31st March. So in this case, you can see that majority of the income, 91%, came from Grandorine, and then followed by Konoha Sako. And we also have a list over here that shows him Grand Orion, Konoha Sako, and other companies that were able to send him some money. And the total income received is reflected here. On this side, we have his goal, which was 200,000, and we can see he didn't manage to hit his goal. This can obviously be customized, and if, for example, his goal was 150, then you could see that he managed to hit the goal over this 3-month period. The biggest income types are these ones over here, so job, interest, gift, and dividend, with the amounts he received during this particular period. Biggest paydays by week, by day, and then biggest paydays in terms of frequency. So 4 payments made on a Thursday, then 2 payments made on a Friday. And then in terms of the day of the month, we have this analysis over here. So he's better aware how he receives his income, when he receives his income, who exactly is contributing to his total income. So that's it for that one. We also have the passive trend and passive report sheets, which work very similarly to the income report and the income trend sheets. The only difference is that these focus on passive income alone. So these are the income streams which are giving you things like interest, payments, dividend, and other income types that you categorize as passive. And this is to help you see how are you doing in terms of passive income only, as opposed to the income report, which includes active income, passive income, and any other sources of income, which might be a mix of both or none. You could try to build this yourself, or you could simply tap the like button and check the notes in the description below for details on how you can access this full version of the tracker. Thanks for staying till the end. Here's your bonus. Schedule a session every 1 to 3 months to review your income data. I've found these helpful as a time to reflect on progress made and plan for the next months. If you're married, invite your spouse to participate. That way, you'll both be more financially aware and financially aligned. 30 to 90 days is long enough to be dangerous, actually do stuff, and short enough to course correct for the year. Comment down below if you have any questions or tips of your own. I'd love to hear from you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to tap the like button and share it with others who would find it valuable. You can also show support by buying me coffee using the links in the description below. I wish you financial clarity and wisdom. May you be a good steward of the money you receive. May you enjoy wealth without sorrow. Till next time, grow the good.